as an agency today, and we talked to lots of them and they're hurting. You're absolutely right. I mean, agencies are hurting. Just because in many cases they knew how to do one thing and that one thing doesn't work anymore, right? I mean, really, it's as simple as that. Also, there's less budget. I mean, I love the quote: "When times are good, you should advertise. When times are bad, you must advertise." That's reality. We know that. There's data to back up that the companies that advertise, even during and especially during times of retraction, they do better than the ones that stop by many orders of magnitude. And yet, what does everybody do? The first thing they cut, it's marketing. It's the marketing budget. It's the ad spend. It's the exact wrong decision, yet everybody does it. So even though it's wrong, it does impact agencies. So now I've been saying for a couple of years now, as an agency, I think you have two choices. Either you need to build an agency or consultancy that takes ownership of the entirety of the customer journey for your client, right? So you need to own all aspects of it. You need to own the awareness stage, so that traffic component. You need to own the funnel design component of that. So what happens after the lead comes in? You need to take some ownership, over that, and you need to own the overall messaging at each and every point along the way. Because if you only own a single component of it, there's too many other places where it can and will almost certainly fail. You'll get blamed for it, or just it'll stop working, and so you'll lose that client anyway. So I think either you need to build an agency that takes ownership of the entirety of the customer journey, which doesn't mean you have to do everything, but you need to take ownership of it from a client perspective. Exactly what you described, Ralph. We're not just going to do traffic, although we'll do that, but we're also going to understand your funnel and we're going to understand the messaging. You either need to make that decision, or you need to hyper specialize in one piece of the customer journey and align yourself with the agencies that want to own all of it. Because again, they're going to own all of it from a client perspective, but they can't do all of it. So they're going to need people like you. And so to me, this is the Hollywood model. If you understand how movies get made in Hollywood, it is different people coming together who are experts in their own little areas, and there's a producer and director that ultimately brings all of these constituencies together. Actors and their agents. You're going to have lighting people and special effects, and all those things. They're going to bring all these people together to produce this movie. I think you've got to decide: are you the producer or are you a key grip? And look, key grip is important. We got to make sure the lighting's right and cords aren't in the way, but know your role and be really, really clear on that. And don't get caught in the middle, because if you're caught in the middle, claiming to be able to do it all, but you're not, you're screwed. Yeah. If you're a specialist who has not aligned yourself with people who do own it, and you're essentially, I don't want to say contracting some of your services out to them, but that kind of is a lot of times what it winds up looking like. Maybe it's a strategic partnership. If you're not doing that, again, you're going to lose clients really, really quickly. So now's the time for agencies to figure out which are you of those two. And agencies need to be talking and networking and hanging out a lot more than they do. Everybody's so scared and panicky because they're holding on to their clients so tight that they don't want to connect with because they might take my clients. Mm-hmm. As is typical, you should be doing the exact opposite of your initial impulse. You should be networking with more, and you should be deciding: am I going to go broad and be more consultative, or am I going to go more narrow and be more specialized? One or the other. There's no room in the middle.
Yeah. And I think you've got a platform for that pretty well. I mean, not always, here you are on the show. Obviously, we're going to be talking about your stuff. But I mean, I think, the agency focus of digital marketer is a smart one. And it can't be, I find when agencies get together, now there's a much different vibe than it was 4 or 5 years ago. It's like, oh, well, we're all competitors. Now it's much more. I just had, 3 people from Meta fly up to Boston a couple of weeks ago and talk about 10 other agencies that are looking for strategic partnerships. That never would have happened 6 months ago. We've got private equity groups that contact us every single week, say, hey, plug into, this larger platform organization. There's a tremendous amount of consolidation, especially in smaller agencies that might be able to be purchased for cash, not necessarily for debt because of the way the debt is right now with interest rates. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of consolidation here. Not only are agencies looking for just partnerships and ways to work with other organizations, we get hit up probably 5 times a week for white label arrangements. So hey, can we just plug your stuff into what we're doing? That has completely changed from just a year ago. And I think the market started to sort of feel this and act this way. And they realized in order to survive, either I figure this out or I don't make it. And I think some are probably not going to make it if you still say, all right, I'm going to be just this one-stop shop and this one really, really good thing. You can continue to survive. And I think Solutions 8 is actually a really, really good example of this. Like Google, that's the only thing that they do. And like that's scalable, but also, Qasim's made a very strategic decision to say, okay, maybe it might not work in the long haul because the models have changed. So if you're an agency owner that's still stuck in that mindset of like, I've got to go it alone, it's like join a community like what you guys have, reach out to other agency owners. There's plenty of business that's out there right now, but I think together, I think agencies are stronger. And with 42,000 of them, it's probably too fragmented to stay that way too much longer anyway. It's ripe for consolidation.
Yeah. It's not that people don't want to buy. The mistake that people make when we do move into, and I don't want to call it a recessionary cycle because I don't even know what that word means anymore, but the mistake that people make when we move into cycles where things are getting a bit more constrained, where they are tightening up a little bit,